Are we ready to get going? I love that bell. Alrighty, thank you guys. So we do have a few more questions submitted from residents, so I will probably have a few more for you guys and go a little bit longer, but not too much. We will start with candidate intros, and Mary, if you'd like to introduce yourself. Oh, yes, microphones. I asked Duncan to turn it up so that people could hear better, and then we can, when we're not speaking, just turn our microphones off to help with feedback.
All right. Can everybody hear me? Great. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Mary Hamway, and I'm a 30-year resident of town of Paradise Valley. My husband and I moved here on a relocation. We were living in Connecticut, and we moved west, and we landed in Paradise Valley, and we have just loved living here. I got involved early on in doing community projects. One of the first things I did was helped underground the overhead utilities along Scottsdale Road, and then that led for me to run for Paradise for council. And while I was on the council, I served for 2 terms, and then I was appointed back for an appointment. And during that time, I spent many years doing lots of community projects. I led the renovation of the Kiva sports field. I also ran the 50th anniversary visioning committee. And then I also represented the town of Paradise Valley on the Experience Scottsdale, which is our marketing arm, for 8 years. And throughout my career, I've done nothing but work with teams and work with residents to reach successful conclusions. And I'm done, I guess. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Mark Stanton. So proud to be here today. Thanks for joining us. I've been in Paradise Valley for about 55 years. My mom and my sister and I came here, and I'm now raising my beautiful family with my campaign manager and my wife, Barb Stanton, and Olivia here. My background has been in marketing and public relations. I've served as a business leader. I've been a small business owner, and I moved into the space of public affairs several years ago. I became the chief of staff for the County Board of Supervisors, District 3, which is Paradise Valley. I was appointed by the governor to be the deputy director for the Arizona Office of Tourism, promoting Arizona domestically and internationally. Tourism and economic development, and Paradise Valley thrives on tourism. That's a pillar of our financial success. I've also been lucky enough to serve on council now. This is my 3rd term. I've served as vice mayor twice and in charge of the Advisory Council on Public Safety, the HOA Forum, and liaison to the Planning Commission. Thrilled to serve as Vice Mayor for the 2nd time. Very proud with the great support I've received. Grateful to be in this position to work and represent the town of Paradise Valley and the residents, and I'm thankful you're here today.
I'm Anna Thomason. I have lived in the town for 30 years. I've served on town council for the last 6 years, and before that I served on the Board of Adjustment. I have also been lucky enough to serve as vice mayor. I have served on the ACOMPS committee, and I also have served on the Experience Scottsdale Board of Directors. I retired, sort of retired, after 35 years in corporate America. I spent 30 of those years consulting to Fortune 500 companies in organization change, merger integration, employee communications, and engagement, and those are my passions. I love serving the town. I call myself all in. I'm at every Coffee with a Cop, Planning Commission, Historical Advisory, Arts Board, neighborhood meeting, everything, and it really fuels me. And when Jerry said he wasn't going to run for mayor, I thought, I can do this. I can do a good job as mayor. So that's why I'm sitting in front of you this afternoon. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you guys for those wonderful introductions. I like this question I have, so I'm going to start same as we did last time. With many resorts having recently gone through the redevelopment application process, what kind of development projects will you want the council to focus on next? Mark, you can start, please.
Awesome, great question. The resorts are the cornerstone of our economic security in Paradise Valley. They provide incredible bed tax, which offsets the need for a property tax. And I will tell you that our resorts have been recognized as some of the finest in the world. These resorts have made major investments in this town. They have major investments, they're employers, and most importantly, they continue to reinvest in the properties. They continue to make those properties better, and we're grateful for that. I think that we see some new properties that'll be coming online, like the Smoke Tree Resort. We know that the 5-star and the Ritz will be coming online. And we also know that a number of hotels will be coming back for redevelopment to reinvest in their properties. So I'm looking forward to maintaining that quality, that incredible level of the resort properties that we have in town. Also, we're seeing, as we've seen in years, there's a lot of change in residential property. We're seeing a lot of growth. We're seeing a lot of changes in people who are either expanding their property and buying property adjacent to them to make a larger home. And then we're also seeing the opposite, where people are beginning to subdivide their lots. So we're going to see a lot more in the residential real estate market coming back in front of Planning Commission and the council.
Thank you. Resorts, I won't repeat anything that's been said before. A couple things about resorts. We do have 8 resorts in our town. We just went through a redevelopment and rezoning process for 2 of them, Ondas and Smoke Tree. And what I'm really proud of our council about, how we did that, we did it in a very collaborative way with our planning commission, with our council, working with staff and working with the resorts. And I think in both cases, we ended up with a really nice process and project. There's 2 that we will probably see in the next year. Sanctuary has a new owner and El Charro has a new owner. We all think of El Charro as a restaurant, but it's actually zoned as a resort. So that will probably come back to us. And I'm very proud and excited to look forward to repeat that collaborative process on those 2 resorts. I love numbers. Resorts bring us 35 to 40% of our town revenue every year. It's bed tax, it's food and beverage tax, and it's transient lodging tax. So very significant for our town.
All right, thank you. I think the one thing that's kind of defined my role in Paradise Valley is resort redevelopment. When I started on the council in 2004, it was the first time the Ritz project came through. We also were just coming off the end of Monte Lucia, that used to be called La Posada. Mountain Shadows and the Ritz, these have all kind of defined my role for the last 20 years. I haven't been on the council for 20 years, but I've been involved in town politics for 20 years. And one of the things I've found is that always our resorts are looking to invest and make new improvements and that sort of thing. And in order for them to do that, they often have to come back to the town council through the SUP amendment process to get those changes made. So that's just going to be something that's always done. The Scottsdale Plaza Resort went through a process that you guys did, and unfortunately I think the owner just resold it again, so I don't think that's the end of that one. There's more land on the Ritz parcel to still be developed. So resort redevelopment is just part of our past, it's part of our future, and it's certainly part of our present.
Perfect, thank you guys. This is a question from a resident about the state legislature. They would like to know your thoughts on the increased role that the legislature is having on who we are as a community and regulations that we enact, such as short-term rentals, ADUs, and group homes. I think that's more like a 2-part question. I can repeat it if you need it as we keep going. Mark, you started. Anna, you can go. Thank you.
I'm up first. As Scott said earlier, and the previous panel talked about, what happens at the state legislature is probably the most impactful to the town of Paradise Valley. I've been very active down at the legislature over my last 6 years. I've been down there and given testimony 5 different times in front of different committees. We also have the opportunity to write legislators, call legislators, attend committee members, support citizen groups. It's important that all of us are very active, and I've been proud to do so. We have an excellent lobbyist in terms of High Ground, and we work with them on a daily, hourly basis to respond as they need it. Our issues will continue to change. We are seeing an increasing trend of the state wanting more control, whether it's photo enforcement, whether it's density, whether it's affordable housing. We're continuing to see that. So we need to stay vigilant. In terms of the solution, I think the solution is vigilance and relationships and making sure that our whole community stays involved. It's very important.
Mary, go ahead.
Legislative overreach has been a problem since I've been involved in local government. We used to have our own election calendar. They took that away from us. We used to not allow signs in town. They took that away from us. So legislative overreach has been changing our community for many years. So it's always been a challenge. One of the things that we are a member of we are a member of the Arizona League of Cities and Towns. And what this is kind of our active lobbyist group that works with all the cities and towns in the state. There are 91 that are members of this group. And so they always track these bills, and they are kind of the first line of defense when we go to the legislature. And then, as Anna mentioned, we do have a long-standing relationship with High Ground, and we have been using Doug Cole as our lobbyist for a long time. So when it comes to the legislature, you have to know your facts, you have to work with other communities, and you just have to keep your head down and stay vigilant.
This is the biggest threat that we have in Paradise Valley, and that is legislative overreach. We've suffered through this for years, and it's like Groundhog Day, because the legislators continually look at encroaching on municipalities. And it's not just Paradise Valley, but obviously we're part of that. And we've seen it on photo radar, we've seen it on property rights, and we've seen it on short-term rentals. So the idea of staying focused and meeting our legislators, we have a great legislative delegation for Paradise Valley, but it's broader than that. We need to work with a broader coalition of other municipalities and legislators that are going to impact local control, which I think at the end of the day is what we want in Paradise Valley. We want the ability to create our own destiny, to manage projects or programs like short-term rentals. And I, again, compliments to Tim Dickman and the team that works so diligently on the short-term rental challenge. But we also see that on photo radar. Every year, they come back and they try to eliminate photo radar, not just in Paradise Valley, but for the state. And that is really a bridge too far for me to take, and it's also a bridge too far for our residents to take. If we choose to have photo radar, we should have that right. Thank you.
You can just keep going down the line. Anna, you're next. Go ahead.
I think I already answered it.
Oh, you started. Are you sure? I thought Mary started. Okay. Thank you. See, I'm losing track now that we've gone through already 3 people, so thank you for your help. Okay. Another resident would like to know your thoughts on how to deal with pickleball noise. And now it's your turn to start, Mary.
Great. Yes, pickleball. Well, it is a very loud but very passionate, new sport that we're dealing with. And sometimes neighbors just have legal incompatible land uses next door to them. So if somebody wants to sit out on their backyard and just look at the beautiful scenery, and there's a pickleball court next door, that's an incompatible land use for both of those people at this point. So one of the things you can do, we've had this issue for many years. I remember one particular one, we had a professional tennis coach, and he wanted 4 tennis courts, and next door was a horse corral with 2 horses. That was an incompatible land use, but they were both legal uses. So when it comes to pickleball, the industry is working with making the equipment less noisy, and also there is soundproofing that you can put around a court, some kind of fencing. But it really comes to working with your neighbor and recognizing that it is a noisy sport, and it is going to cause some problems.
Pickleball. My brother-in-law is a huge fan. I haven't played yet, but I will say first up, Bonsall, I know you're good at it, so enjoy it. This is the #1 growing sport for recreation in the country, and it's catching on like leaps and bounds. But it comes with challenges. Comes with challenges of noise, comes with challenges of light from light fixtures that are out there, and it comes from the fact that you've got a challenge between Prop 207 property rights for you to do what you want to do on your property within the ordinances set forth by the town, and the fact that you've got neighbors. And there's a respect factor there. We're looking at best practices from around the country. We're looking at the ways we can process this through from a planning commission and a council to say what are ways that we can help mitigate the friction between the pickleball community and the non-pickleball community.
First off, Mackenzie, thank you for your very robust article a couple weeks ago on pickleball. I thought it was very well done. I see the pickleball issue really in two buckets. First of all, we have the National Pickleball Center, which was formed in a residential neighborhood in a home. What's happening there is really an issue, I think, less of noise and more of a non-residential use of a property. And I know those neighbors and that owner are meeting with town staff, and they are working through that issue. So that's essentially a commercial use in a residential neighborhood. That's one issue. The second issue is the residential use, and my colleagues have already spoken about it. I'm personally very much of a less government person. Right now, we have a noise ordinance. We're managing it as best as we can. We're making sure that people are compliant within the existing noise ordinance. People are working together as neighbors. I'm not inclined to add more government regulation to manage a neighborhood issue. Again, very separate than commercial use.
Thank you. And this is a question from a resident that we got earlier when we first started. What do you consider the best part of being mayor of Paradise Valley? Stanton, you can start, please.
Well, I'm not the mayor. I'm not the mayor yet, but that's my plan, that's my goal, and that's why I'm here today. I think the best part of the role of mayor is the ability to help lead the council, to unify the council, and help bring forth the reactions and the information from our residents to turn it into proper policy decisions. That's the focus of the mayor. It's not to attend every meeting, it's not to attend every outing, it's not to be a micromanager, it's to be the policy and agenda setter for the council. That's a focus, that's what I believe the council needs in terms of mayor, in terms of a lead position. But remember, the council is 7 people, and the mayor is 1 vote of those 7 people. So I look at my role being mayor would be a unifier, a collaborator, and most of all, a receiver of information from our community.
What a great answer. How am I going to beat that one?
Oh, go on.
I think the best part about being mayor would be the opportunity to create community, something I have a lot of passion about. And creating community starts in the council chambers, and it starts with the other council members that sit on the dais with you. And I think the mayor has an opportunity to work with residents and the different resident groups and the Coffee with a Cop. Whether or not you go to every event or whether you don't go to every event, it doesn't matter. I think a mayor can work with colleagues that are like-minded to set a tone of creating community. One of the things people ask me, what's it like campaigning? And I say, I absolutely love campaigning. And the reason I love it is it's an opportunity to have more conversations, to have more meet and greets, to have events like we're sitting at now, to have conversations like we did a month ago that the Eagle Society formed. So it's an opportunity to create community. And as our technologies become more ever-present, as our walls get higher, as our lives get faster, I think we're hungry for community. And I think being mayor is an opportunity to create that. Thank you.
This has to be the toughest question to go third on, but I agree so much with both what Anna and Mark have said. You know, serving this community is an honor, and being on the council for 11 years was an honor, and running for mayor with these 2 excellent candidates also is an honor. This is a beautiful community, a wonderful community. I feel like I have put a lot of heart and soul over the last 20 years into issues and maintaining our character and our quality. And I think that the joy for me is really about getting to know the residents and meeting with new people and hearing what bothers you and what makes you happy. And so for me, being in the mayor is about setting good policy, it's about listening, and it's about working with a team of council members to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you. As you've been talking, I've been deciding what questions to go through next without repeating too much that we've already heard. So I am going to go with zoning. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
You're going to start with me, huh?
Yes, I was letting you take the lead on that one because I did forget again. I believe it is your turn to start.
Thank you. I think it was Mark that referenced Prop 207 earlier. Prop 207 was passed 10, 12 years ago, and it essentially restricts what a community can do. So we can't diminish the property value of any piece of property without compensating those residents. So while that's a very good policy and I support it, it does restrict us a little bit. So I think instead of, I'm going to flip the script a little bit. Instead of changing our zoning, I think if I had a magic wand or a wish, it would be for increased community education and information about our zoning ordinances and about what people can do with their properties. I talk to residents all the time who don't quite understand what they can and can't do. So I'd like to make our community information a little more accessible to people so that they can find ways to utilize their properties as best they can. And I give examples of setbacks and landscaping as an example.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mary.
Changing the zoning code. You know, I don't know that I would change anything in particular. What drew us to Paradise Valley 30 years ago was the 1 acre zoning. My husband was raised in Atherton, California, and so he knew instantly the value of low density residential lifestyle. So I like our 1 acre zoning. I think that that's the most important thing. The way we do zoning on resort SUPs is a little unique, and we want to make sure that we protect that legislative effort. But I wholly support, maintaining our 1 acre zoning, and I don't know that I would change anything in particular.
Thank you. I would not change any of the zoning, but I would refine it. I think that's an area that we have to continue to look at, whether it be from ordinances for residential properties or the special use permits for the resort properties. And I give big kudos to the Planning Commission because they're so diligent in vetting through some of these applications that we get, and also the Hillside Building Committee, which does an awesome amount of work in terms of enforcing and evaluating what our ordinances must be in order to keep the low density, in order to keep the quality of life. I also have to give a lot of shout out to the town staff for the building department, for our code enforcement. They do amazing work. So to me, I look at it as a space of refinement, looking at what we can do to help increase the quality, increase value of property, but without encroaching on people. I believe in property rights. I believe that Prop 207 is a valuable protectorate for residences, and so I wouldn't change. I'd refine.
Thank you. And this will be our last question before we do candidate outros. Since the legislature is always a big topic and there's a lot to cover with it, I have one more question from a resident. What have you been doing the last 3 years for the town in the legislature? And Mary, it is your turn to start. Thank you.
I haven't been on the council in the last 3 years, but I have been active in the legislature. I spent 8 years on a statewide committee called the Arizona Power Plant and Line Siting Committee, and this was created in statute 50 years ago. And it was, what it does is it holds hearings for people who are going to be potentially located next to extra high power voltage power lines. And so to make a very long story short, this statute was 50 years old, and it was unruly. And so I got together with another teammate. We got Representative Gail Griffin to sponsor, and we were able to get through legislation that refined and eliminated some regulation on this very, very old and unwieldy statute. So while I haven't been actively engaged in specifically PV, I have been down at the legislature supporting photo radar, like I said. I also recently got a license plate, a specialty license plate for Alzheimer's research through the legislature. So I've been very active in the legislature.
I mentioned earlier that the idea of engagement with the legislature is so important, and it's vital for our municipality and vital for our council. So I'm very proud that over the past 10 years, the service that I've had on council, I've been engaged in every legislative agenda development and following through with not just our legislators, but for the legislators around the state that can help build coalitions and help move the needle for all municipalities, but greedily for Paradise Valley. And so working with the legislators, either attending or encouraging residents to participate in terms of hearings, going and having one-on-one meetings with several of the legislators and the subcommittees, and also having meetings with those legislators that are formulating bills. When those bills are being formulated, if our voice isn't heard, it's a little late in the process. Then you're in a battle, you're in a ground battle when it comes to the legislative process. So if you can affect change when you're developing the legislature, I think it gives you an advantage going into the legislative session. And every year we start again. And I'll tell you that we're in that space now. We just, I think we just finished the budget. So congratulations to those folks that worked on it. And we'll start again with our legislative agenda in August.
Thank you, Mackenzie. My work at the legislature is probably one of the things that I am most proud of. I have testified 5 different times. I have been down 3 other times with my colleagues who are testifying just to sit with them in support. I have sent emails on 4 significant pieces of legislation to each of the 7 committee members. I have signed in on the request to speak system 10 to 12 times. I have quarterly meetings with Representative Gress, and I have semi-annual meetings with Representative Tarek and Senator Marsh. I'm in regular dialogue with them when bills are on the floor. I'm in regular dialogue, too, with Doug Cole, our lobbyist, and it's something I feel very passionate about. So that's been my activity since my term on council. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. We will go to candidate outros, and Mark, if you would like to start, anything you'd like to close with and conclude.
Thank you. Mackenzie, thank you. And independent newspapers, thanks for the staff of the town for helping out. Our clerk, Duncan Miller. Yay, Duncan. Thanks so much for being here. And thank you as the residents that are here today and those that are following this campaign. You've got 3 excellent choices for mayor. You really do. There's not a bad choice to be had. But I think there is a place and a time where you have certain qualities and qualifications, and I feel that I'm the most qualified to step forward. My background in marketing and in government relations, in particular, working with legislative bodies, not only at the state level and the county level, but the federal level, is important. And it's important for where we're going as a community, but it's also important for facing the challenges that we will have. I also think that my background in business and particularly tourism makes me a valuable commodity for the years and efforts that I've seen in developing what is the financial pillar for our community, which is tourism. So I look at those elements and I feel that I'm definitely the candidate that can help, and I'm the definite candidate that can make a difference. Thank you for being here.
Did he leave any extra time? Can I have his time too? First of all, Mackenzie, I'd never heard the term outro before, intro versus outro, so thank you for introducing me to that term. I consider myself passionate about the town of Paradise Valley. I have been so enthusiastic about my service for the last 7 years, and I plan to continue that. I think there's a couple things that make me different from my colleagues. First of all, I am able to do this job full-time. It will be my #1 focus when I wake up every morning. I think about Paradise Valley. I hardly ever leave Paradise Valley. As a current council member, I am also current on all of the issues, and I live and breathe them. I think the other thing that makes me a little bit different from my colleagues is my business experience. I do not have a history in government. I do not have a history in nonprofits. I'm very proud that my history is in corporate America, working with Fortune 500 companies. And that teaches me to work with people at all levels, in all departments, from a wide range of backgrounds to solve problems. And I'm very proud of that. So I would be unbelievably humbled and proud to serve as your mayor. I will bring 120% of what I have to offer. You will see 100% of my schedule, and you will see me current and working hard on all the issues. Somebody said once, "You're all in." And I am all in, and I bring a bucket of skills from 35 years in business to that role. Thank you.
First of all, thank you to the Paradise Valley Independent for setting this forum up, and also thank you all for coming today. It's been my honor to serve our town for many years, and certainly on the council for 11, and just being an active participant for the last 20 years. I've had the unique opportunity of working with 5 different mayors, and what that gives me is a broader aspect of seeing what's possible and knowing what's been done in the past. Currently, right now, our staff is, we have a brand new staff. About 75% of our town hall staff is brand new, with about even 50% of our police department being new. So our town is grappling with, building new institutional knowledge and making sure that our new staff understands the needs of our residents very well. So we're at an important juncture right now of where do we go from here? Much has been written about all the new people who are moving into Paradise Valley, and so it's important upon the council and the mayor to make sure that they have the most relevant and the most up-to-date information. We are a residential community first and foremost, but we have a very vibrant resort economy. And honestly, it's about finding the balance between respecting your personal property values and your personal property rights with the powers of local government. And I think that I bring a unique perspective because of my longevity, and I'm done, and thank you. And my name is Mary Hamway. Thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes our candidate forum.